Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Film Seizure. We have gotten, we have risen above the rise. We woke up around dawn, and we survived the war. And now it's time to settle into our Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Our conclusion to this year's Planet of the MAYpes.
MAYpes.
Monthly thing here. Monthly. We're going to do these forever, monthly from now on.
We'll keep making them. We'll
keep making them. I mean, yeah, that's right. There's a cartoon series. There's a TV series. We got more apes out there.
I don't think we're doing those. So.
No, I don't think so either. But anyway, you're hearing the voice of Jason Oliver, one of my cohorts here. Jason, do you have your eagle's egg?
Ooh, or whatever, however it goes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty good. Chuck, do you have your eagle's egg? Are you ready for the bonding ceremony?
No, some bitch broke it.
Oh, that motherfucking bitch.
Those goddamn echoes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I didn't even bother to go look for. They were way the hell up there, and
yeah, you're way too old for the bonding.
Climb that high, no.
Yeah, no.
Hard climb, no.
No, yeah. I am like Anaya. I am scared of everything.
Yeah, but Anaya would be like hard climb. Fuck off.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Like not happening. Good luck.
I looked up there.
Hope our clan wins.
Yeah. I looked over at the girl who broke Chuck's egg, and I said, shit? And she said, shit. And I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This now, I believe, is officially the newest, most recent movie we have ever discussed on this podcast.
Is it?
Well, I mean, we haven't talked about anything after May of 2024, right? Outside of our best of.
I think you're right. That's interesting.
There it is. It has a distinction.
Is it also the newest film outside of At the Movies?
Yeah, no, I haven't done At the Movies in a little while.
No, I mean just in recency. Like it came out in 24 and we're discussing it a year later. Yeah. Have you ever discussed a movie quicker than that is what I meant.
Not on the show. I mean, although I have done some stuff on Monster Mondays quickly like that, but not.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. That's right. Get that right out of here.
Get that right the fuck out of here.
In fact, just stop talking about Monster Mondays.
Yeah. I'm not even going to tell you what's coming out next week when we get to that. You're just going to have to find out on your own.
Yeah.
Anyway, So. I did read that as of last fall, this is officially the start of a new trilogy. That a 2027 movie is in the works to kind of pick up from here. And you know, I mean, the three that we talked about earlier this month, you know, that's almost a biographical exploration of a single person's rise and eventual, well, not really fall, but leading his people to their freedom. This, while there is a little bit of that, is certainly more of the classical kind of hero's journey.
This has a little bit of all three of the movies.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
The past three movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie begins with, we see the funeral of Caesar. So we do get a little bit of a return of our original cast. I mean, we see Rocket, we see, Maurice, you know, we see, Cornelius basically at his father's funeral. And then, also a return of the little symbol from the window that wasn't in war at all, I don't think. And so, yeah, it basically is saying, it's like, yep, you know, Caesar did all this cool shit. And we're going to move on now a couple hundred years into the future. And turns out apes, this particular group of apes, they're into the falconry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is kind of interesting because it's like,
Eagle Clan.
yeah, it's an eagle clan, and the eagles go out and fetch them fish to eat, which that's pretty rad.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's a choice. I can think that whole thing gets a little hokey for me throughout this movie, but it makes them distinctive, which I understand, right? From a storytelling perspective, it makes them distinctive.
Yeah, and it is, I mean, it would explain, like, they're obviously either just a completely different group of apes or they splintered off from the original group at some point. But in the end, it's, these are people who have kind of evolved in their own group without knowledge of what Caesar was.
Right, which I like. I like that there are apes all over the place, and not all the apes are in communication with one another, right? They haven't been. So they've all kind of like figured out their own shit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And there are, think about them from a civilization standpoint. I really wish they would have put like kind of a time frame on this other than many generations. Because it would help my brain a little bit.
It is, I mean, officially plot related, not necessarily in the film, but as part of like its marketing and everything. It is 200 years.
200. Oh, that's about what I would have guessed. Okay.
Yeah.
When you think
long enough,
when you look
long
at all the
enough
rust on the ships and everything,
yeah.
I was thinking about 200.
Long enough for there to be even fewer people, and long enough for there to be a split in ideologies and cultures.
And it makes sense from the standpoint of like their advancement of technology. It's not like super advanced.
One group is cheating a little bit.
Well, they've got some problems.
Well, they've got a William H. Mark Hamill Macy.
That's what I mean by problem. This is where the movie starts to fuck with me a little bit. Is with the human characters, but we'll talk.
We'll get there.
I think a little bit about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there because there is one thing that I also want to mention that's kind of a fan theory about this that I don't like. I don't subscribe to. Get it out of here. But we'll get there.
I think all right. Yeah, we will. This is our catchphrase, and nowadays is we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But Chuck's just shaking his head at us. He's like, "I'll talk about something." He's like looking at us like Lex Luthor, like just like like these motherfuckers.
Well, you guys are always running ahead.
I know. I do that a little bit because I'm like, okay.
He's trying to reconcile all of his thoughts. And,
yeah, a little bit, but
he's got to wrangle them. I
like how you're just blaming him for this right now.
But there are things that you get sprinkled into the first act of this movie that are like, okay, they're foreshadowing things,
right,
for later acts, and I can't help but think ahead. But yes, you're right. I'll rein it in.
Chuck, what would you like to add in these early stages?
Right in the early part of the movie, I'm like totally in. I really, really dig like the first hour or so of the film. I think the primitive, like how we're going primitive with them and seeing, like you guys had already mentioned, so I'm just kind of reiterating that they've gone into falconry. They've grown a different way, right? Like than you would expect for one of the groups of chimps. I do wish we knew, like, we do kind of find out they don't know who Caesar is, but we don't know if that's because the older generation shielded them from the
That's
Caesar.
A good question that is brought up, and I wonder if maybe that's going to get eventually.
I think there's going to be a lineage part to this later.
Well, there's a schism, I think, that happens, and I love it, Chuck, because you bring up one of the things that I find really interesting that I think answers your question from last week, which I think we'll talk about. Okay. About the rules of Caesar and all of that, right? Because
yes.
I think they've been co-opted, right? History is made by the history writers, and that's a theme in this movie, I feel.
Yes, there's definitely a group that has taken the rules into the place that would lead to a later original Apes movie.
Exactly.
And
For sure.
absolutely is really buying into like that Roman history idea. Yeah, we'll meet Proximus a little bit later. But
Played by Kevin Durant
yeah,
of basketball fame.
of basketball fame. Yeah, man, he can dunk.
Yeah, you can.
I also find it kind of interesting too that the Eagle clan is segregated. They are only chimps.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yes.
whole other layer of something that's going on here too. That Proximus has Proximus has some bonobos around, but he doesn't have any orangutans, and he's got some gorillas.
Yes, I think there's too many orangutans would be a problem for him.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I suspect the orangutans have gone off the kind of more of the religious element, like we'll meet with Raka, who is kind of trying to preach the Caesar element.
Yes.
Yeah.
Important character, obviously.
Right.
Best
Yes.
character, Raka.
Oh, Raka rules. Yeah, he's
Raka
awesome.
rocks.
Yeah.
Raka rocks.
But no, it's you're starting to see the cultural differences between the species that we saw in the original two, right? Like there's striations enough to where you can kind of see some of that, like starting to split off, that there's something a little bit more religious, cultural, all of that must be protected. There's a group that's a warrior group, and there's a group that is more nature based,
Which again is kind of like the first Planet of the Apes movie.
Yes.
They're separated into those groups, not quite as disparate
right.
as in this movie, but yeah.
But it looks like we're headed in that direction at least.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, again, it also brings up, of all of the groups, you would think that the Eagle clan would have known, would have been the Caesar group, the Caesar followers, but yeah, they've, what we don't know is what happened immediately after Caesar died. Right. That's the only thing we don't know. It's just that everybody, it's now widespread that apes are, building their own colonies, building their own ways.
This would be a great opportunity for a backwards trilogy, because there's so much history in between this movie and the last one that I think would be interesting storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did we get to this point now? Yeah.
Yeah.
That could almost be, hey, if Disney Plus wants to make like a little limited TV series, that would be something good that you could, because, essentially the rise of Proximus, like what leads to that guy?
Yeah.
Because that guy is very different.
This is my point. Like, I like, this movie starts 200 years after the last one, and then it just drops you into this history. And part of the fun is sort of unraveling some of it, but it's also part of a lot of the frustration, right? Is like, okay, well, are we going to tell that story? And does it depend on Hollywood dollars, Hollywood bucks to tell that story? And that's frustrating, right? That's frustrating from like a sense of like actual storytelling. Yeah. Because it's dependent on this financial gain. And that bums me out sometimes about these types of movies, right? So, because I think for me, a lot of the more interesting stories haven't been told in this movie.
And you never know what, if this is, this is intended to be a trilogy.
Right. And I'm hoping
what comes after could, and what comes after could boost this one too.
And I think there could be like tell a little bit of the forward story and tell a little bit of the backward story, right? I think there's opportunity for that, right?
Yeah, because one of the things that I wonder about is obviously, as we'll see later, Proximus likes to keep a human around, and is that entirely kind of part of that whole clan's rise to being a dominant piece. You know, they cheated to get to, you know, because he talks about like evolution in a way that is not natural.
Right. But Rocca talks about like Caesar and Caesar's love for echoes, humans, right? And so it's like you can pervert that and use that, you know, to your gain.
The way that he romanticizes it, Rocky, even is like he doesn't even know the full story here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it requires someone to fill in the blank of what the actual relationship was between Caesar and humans.
Exactly.
So that is like showing like the romanticism. If you only know that Caesar loved some humans, then that would become part of your religion, right? Like we should love humans. We should want them to be a part of our lives without understanding the danger of them because you don't have the full story.
Right.
Or that they can be used, that they can be useful to us, which I certainly think is one of our characters' faults.
And
here.
this to me, like, is where this movie succeeds, is it's dealing with 200 years of recorded history, but not recorded, right? It's all like word of mouth. Like there is no written language, and they go through great pains to make sure you understand that there's no written language in this, and over the last 200 years. So I do enjoy that. I think that's interesting. It's how history can be manipulated in the present based on what has been said in the past. That's why I think written history now is so interesting, because it's all misinformation. There's so much of it. Like 1% of what we hear, I think, or that's recorded is maybe true. So what does that mean for our civilization 200 years from now, right? It's fascinating to me. Like that is where this movie, to me, it was where I was like in it. I was like, oh wow, I'm really digging like the aspect of history here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in 200 years, it's going to be the rhetoric that people can follow, right? Like the arguments that people are having and trying to glean the truth from that, because every written word has been used, like in any kind of history, has been used to pervert like people's brains or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to future generations embracing brain worms to survive.
To eat part of their brain.
Yeah, to eat part of their brain away.
A mega human.
Yeah. But no, I will admit that, because I think one of you, asked me what I thought of this a year ago, basically. And I said, well, it's not as good as the Caesar trilogy, but it was good. I mean, and I think you're right, Jason. I think the first, and Chuck, you were also saying the first half of this movie is better than the second half, because the second half becomes the typical Planet of the Apes. We've got to fight against the bad guy, whether it's a human or an ape. We got to fight against. I think there are some interesting things in that, because there is something about that is not. There is a little bit of a surprise with one of the characters, because they could have zigged instead of zagged, which was, everybody is going to get along forever really nice. Like nobody's going to bring a gun back with them just in case. I mean, it shows that there is a little bit more complexity in some of those relationships as well.
The tension. Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
All I was going to say is that the enemy in this movie, I don't think is the real enemy at all. And there's part of that enemy that is right, which makes that enemy kind of cool. Like you're just a little bit too far off of the edge here. If you rein in that one aspect of yourself, then you do have cause to believe what you're believing. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and it's even affirmed in the film in a sense. So, yeah. Hey, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, Chuck. So I guess the movie starts. We meet our three primary kind of younger apes. You get the impression that they're like teenagers, right? You have Noah, who is the son of like the main falcon, the main falconry dude,
the master of birds.
You have his girlfriend, basically, Suna, and then Anaya, who's his best friend. And, Noah and Anaya are constantly like, egging each other on, no pun intended, when they're going searching for eggs. But there's this whole ceremony that is called like a bonding ceremony or something like that, bonding ritual. And, they have to climb and steal an egg, but they have rules about that. You can't take a bird's entire nest of eggs. You have to leave at least one behind. And then they take the egg and they transport it back in like a sling. And basically it's kind of like the thing at schools, right? Where it's like, you got to take care of this egg for a week or whatever, like all the sitcoms always do. And
I had to do that.
I did not.
Did you also have to do the one where you had to create a machine that would protect it from being dropped from like 10 feet?
No, I didn't do anything with an egg.
Did you have to do that, Chuck?
Yeah.
So if you could create a some sort of padded mechanism that if you dropped the egg from 10 feet it didn't break, you would win the challenge. Yeah.
So basically, it's saying you're gonna drop a baby. You better make sure you drop it someplace good.
It was like one was like just like life skills, and the other one was engineering. But they both had to do with keeping an egg from breaking.
Yes, they didn't teach you to take your baby egg and drop it and see if it survives.
Right. Now that's a fun crossover, but that wasn't quite. They were separate and distinct challenges.
I put my egg on a wooden block with wheels and a CO2 cartridge, and shot it down the hallway. Did you guys do that one? That's the best one.
I didn't do anything with any eggs, goddammit.
I didn't know there was CO2 cartridges.
There was no egg in this one. That part was a joke, but we made wooden block cars and screwed wheels into them and put a CO2 cartridge in the back.
Oh, no, I didn't do that.
You pop them and race them.
So like Pinewood Derby, but with CO2 cartridges.
Yeah, it was like in our shop class in like 7th grade or 5th grade or something.
You know what that sounds like to me, though, Jason?
Nos.
Yeah.
I did just watch the supposed 15th anniversary of Fast and the Furious this week.
Gosh.
Somebody transposed the 1 and the 0. And
we
thought
did
it was
say
the 15th
family a lot.
It's so funny.
While we were doing it. We did say family a lot.
Family.
Yeah.
Family.
Which, you know what? All right, quick aside. Give me 20 seconds. The soundtrack to the original Fast and Furious is weird. It's so weird. It's almost all EDM. And it's bizarre. And I don't get it. And they definitely moved away from it wisely because it is dated so badly. There's only one hip-hop song in that entire movie, and it's at the very end. It's a Ja Rule song.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is all weird-ass, like electronic EDM, like Prodigy wannabe shit.
It feels like they were shooting for the wrong... They almost got the wrong target audience with the first movie and had to like run... I don't know how to say this correctly.
I feel like they got the subculture right visually, but like completely missed the mark on the music. Yeah,
I don't think they really fixed anything until the 4th movie.
I think you're probably right about that because it's a little haphazard first 3. And then it took Singleton to come in and be like, all right, well, this is what it's really about.
Yeah,
which is correct. He corrected that shit. But I think it would be really interesting to do a re-score of Fast and Furious. I think it's ripe for it. And it could probably do really well. Like get period, related music, hip hop, rap from 2001, 2000, and put it into Fast and Furious, and it would kill. Like I think you could make a shit ton of money by doing that.
Well, then do it.
Well,
write a letter.
I have none of these rights, but
write a letter to Universal.
I have an idea. They'll be like, thanks for the idea. We'll cash the check, sir.
Yes.
Well, there it is. It's already out there.
Yeah.
If anybody from Universal is listening, they're like, fuck, that's a good idea. All right, back to the movie.
All right. So basically they all get their eggs and they go back and we learn that like Noah is seeking his father, which is Koro. he's seeking his approval, basically. And he does say, because they have like a poncho that they found on the way back, because they heard something rustling in the bushes, and Noah and Anaya kind of followed it, but they get to the edge of like this railroad track bridge or tunnel or whatever, and they are pretty sure that it's an echo, which we don't know what an echo is until we realize, oh, those are humans. That's what they call humans now. In fact, it's only the falconry group that calls them echoes. Anytime that any other character says echo, it is to what's the word I want to contextualize it to Noah when they're talking to him. But anyway, so they're pretty sure it's that, but he takes the poncho back with them, and basically Koro basically tells his son, it's like, you didn't go past the barrier, you didn't go into the forbidden zone, basically. And he's like, no, no, I'm not supposed to, so I didn't. I just brought this back from the edge of that border, basically. Later that night or the next night or whatever, turns out that this girl that they heard, and they never really saw, but they heard her, followed back to the eagle, the eagle camp, and was messing around in the bird aviary.
The fish smokehouse.
That's right. I always get that confused because they're both wooden structures. You're right. It's the fish. Yeah. All the birds have caught all the fish for the big feast tomorrow.
Yep.
And she's stealing she's taking the fish and she's messing around in the smokehouse. And Noah's like, whoa, hey, get out of here, you. And she kicks him. And that breaks or she pushes him, or she kicks him, or whatever.
She hits him on the way out.
It breaks his egg, which then to avoid the embarrassment of the master of the bird's son not having an egg for the big ceremony tomorrow, he sets out to get another egg in the middle of the night. And this is where he runs into a little bit of trouble. First of all, he goes past the barrier, the place where, it is forbidden for him to go. And he finds a bunch of dead chimps from his clan.
No, they're not from his clan. They're the masked ones that Oda killed. Oda kills them. And then he ends up getting stabbed in the back, and he says, "There's more of them."
That's right. You're right. You're right. The ones on the ground, and he says, "There's more," because because Noah's like fishing around, and then his horse is wandering around, and the main gorilla badass dude is like whips the horse, and he's like, "Follow it back to the camp, and we'll get the guy who, we'll get him," basically.
Yeah, and they're out looking for the Echo, the girl. For some reason, she is important to them, and their scouts had run into Oda. Oda fought them off until he was killed, and they zap his horse with a little prodding rod, like a little electric prodding rod that they carry, these guys, which sends the horse running back to Noah's home. And Noah's trying to get there as well. He's like running, cutting through, but he's too late. He gets back home and everything is on fire. And all of the people in his camp are getting rounded up, or, whatever's happening to them. They're mostly just rounding them up. And Noah's mom...
In a sort of a way, they're being rounded up in the same, we will find out, for the same purpose as Woody Harrelson was rounding them up.
Pretty
in
much.
the last one. Yeah, they're
different. They're doing a different thing, but yes.
It's all for slave labor, basically. Yeah.
Yes. And Noah runs into his mother, and his mother's like, forget about me. I'm fine. Go help your dad.
Yes. And now the guerrilla general that is kind of leading this whole chart, his name is Silva.
Oh.
And so like eventually Noah finds out that, like, you know, he goes up and he's trying to help his father release all the birds because the aviary is on fire.
Yep.
And Silva shows up and he's like, I'm gonna beat you up. And Korra's like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up. And then they fight. And but Noah swings in to help out. I always the one thing, a couple of things about this movie. One, I think especially the first half of this movie looks phenomenal. I mean, you really get a sense of, like, this is wilderness. This is how they're living. The apes all look great.
The mannerisms are awesome.
The mannerisms are great.
Chimps.
The expressions are great. Everything is great. The other thing is, I love all the swinging around that Noah does. I think that looks great too, and I like the fact that he uses that agility against the gorilla, because gorillas wouldn't be able to swing like chimpanzees can.
Oh, it's exactly like big guy versus little guy. Big guy's just breaking all the shit that little guy would try to stand on top or run across and run. I spent a lot of time in this movie thinking about how much I like the fact that they kept, like, chimpanzees and gorillas kept those aspects of themselves.
Yeah.
Where they aren't, like, I know there's, if you talk about the old movie, I've never read the book. I assume they didn't keep their old mannerisms, right?
No,
they acted
did.
they did.
No, they did.
They swing around and stuff.
There's a really cool scene in the book. Basically, they go to like a marketplace that is kind of parodying the like the stock market. Okay. And like the apes are like climbing around and they're like going crazy and they're like rattling things and stuff like that. And they do keep, I mean, while they are more human-like in the book, they do keep some of their mannerisms.
Well, good.
Like these newer movies do.
I'm glad it's present here. I spent a lot of time thinking it's great that they're still chimps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's like, you know, and that's a key thing too, like in this fight between Noah and Korra and Silva, where they're, you know, the two chimpanzees are a lot more, you know, they're able to climb around on things. They
have to do the jump on the back, choke out routine. Yeah. They can't, it's not a head on fight for them. And whenever the gorilla gets them in a position where it is, that's when doom happens.
Yes. And there's a line that comes up later from Raka that's also very interesting to think about, because they are apes. But we'll come back. We'll come back around to that. But so yeah, basically, the Silva ends up more or less like fatally wounding Korra and cuts a rope from that Noah is hanging on, and he falls, and he basically is watching the whole thing basically burn down, and he realizes that, you know, before he passes out, he realizes his father's been killed.
Yep.
So when he wakes up, basically the entire place is burnt down. There are mostly nobody else around. Like everybody else has been scooped up and taken away. And then after he buries his father, he realizes his father's bird, his father's eagle, is kind of watching over him, and he thinks, oh, this is my penance for failing to save my father, basically.
But he does promise his father at that moment, I am going to bring them all home.
Yes.
Yep. And so he sets out on his grand journey, and he does get followed by the bird, and he even tries to like sing to it so that it would land on his arm like his father would, but its talons scrape against them, and it hurts him, so he has to continue on.
Right.
He also is being followed by the girl. She is, for whatever reason, is uniquely interested in him. But he ends up getting into like basically walking over a trap, and he falls underground. And this is where we see our orangutan friend, Raka. And he is pissed. And he's like, "Are you one of the masks?" And he's like, "No mask. No, I'm not them." And Raka eventually agrees. It's like, okay, this guy's not a threat to me. But he does point out that his only other friend, the only other person that was part of his little temple or whatever, was killed by the masks and is on the funeral pyre.
Right.
And this is where Noah first learns of Caesar. So take it away.
Yeah, Raka is showing him that they've saved books that they can't read, and he tells them the symbols have meaning in the book and whatever, important for later, right? But Raka and his his partner, were basically dispensing the words of Caesar, right? Like they were trying to historically save books, save history that they could not read. But the one thing that they had from the past was that Caesar loved humans. Caesar said apes together strong. Mm-hmm. And Caesar said apes not kill other apes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
it's an oral history, and like a lot gets lost over 200 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because while Raka has the main tenets, there's a lot of leeway in those tenets.
Right. Absolutely. I mentioned the thing about the understanding of the relationship between Caesar and humans is pretty important.
Yeah. And almost entirely lost.
Yeah.
This is why I love this movie for answering the question you had last week, Chuck. Right?
Right.
Because it very, very deftly like makes the point of that this type of history can easily be manipulated.
Yep.
Right.
And it is manipulated, but they do. So Raka, I can't remember the reason he decides to travel. I think it's because the Echo shows up.
Yeah. So real quick, there is one thing.
It is, yeah.
One specific thing that was overlooked was that as General Silva was wrecking everything at the Eagle clan's camp,
he kept
saying for Caesar. Yeah. And Noah brings that up to Raka. He's like, "Caesar, I heard them say that name."
Yeah.
And Raka is like, "No, not this. That's not Caesar.
They bastardize. Yeah. They bastardize the memory of Caesar, right. However he puts it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's, so basically, like, he's like, well, I'm, thanks for like not killing me, and thanks for like, telling me all about Caesar, but I gotta get going, man. Mm-hmm. And that's when they realize that, oh no, this girl has followed them and has followed him in particular. And it does crack me up when Raka's like, we'll call her Nova. That's the thing from Caesar's time. We don't know why they're all called Nova.
We all call them Nova. Yeah, it's pretty silly, but whatever. Yeah,
I think it is making fun of the fact that they called the girl Nova.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
because
for sure a joke.
Yeah.
And that's, that girl also, I mean, that's another piece of history that has now faded into like, there's no context as to what that girl was, why she was saved, or, so that is kind of the only thing that remained was her name that Maurice gave her.
Yeah.
Oh, from the last one. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so they, and like Caesar's not down, or Caesar, Noah is not down with, with this girl coming along. He's like, at one point, he's like, she better learn how to ride because she's slow. It's like, I'm in a hurry here, dude. We need to go. And so it eventually gets to the point where, they do come across a stream, and this is very like everything from the music to basically the happenings here echo back to the original,
the OG.
Yeah, the OG and echo. Yes,
intended,
yes.
Yeah.
But we see a bunch of like humans kind of come out of the forest, and they're just like at the watering hole, and like Raka is like, oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna watch
He's like
this.
striped horses.
Oh yeah, because they stop because they see zebras.
Yeah.
Which indicates that this could be Africa.
Or it indicates that the zebras from the zoo have been
living pretty.
I don't think it's Africa. It looks pretty much like Western
like
United
Africa.
States.
Yeah.
But they so anyway, so soon they hear the horn, the hunting horn, and along comes Silva and the various apes that are from Caesar's camp. This mysterious Caesar that they're doing everything for. And right before all of this happened, Noah was like, "Hey, I'm leaving. See you later, Raka. Everything's good." And he's basically on his way out when
Raka hands him the necklace too. It's important. Raka hands him the necklace that has the symbol that Caesar drew in the jail, representing the window in his house when he was in a cage.
Yep.
Yeah. Noah is leaving, and that's when the army or whatever, the scouts, come out of the woods and start capturing the humans, looking for the Echo, the girl who they call Nova. And at a point, she has to run into some weeds, and all of the bonobos and the gorillas are like looking through, like, I know you're in here. I'm gonna get you. And that's when Noah, Noah's like, I should go back and help. And he's calling out her name, and she's like probably halfway in between the main gorilla and Noah, and she stands up, and this is when she screams his name.
Yes.
And he's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like he's like, whoa, what? He's like, okay, well, I guess I better go help her now. And this was a trailer scene where she's like running and like Noah and Silva are coming at each other basically.
Yeah.
And she runs up a log, jumps on the horse, and they take off. And they eventually reunite with Raka, and Noah pulls him off to the side and he's like, dude, she spoke.
He's like, right.
Yeah, I mean, you said she was smarter than the other. He's like, yeah, to a certain extent. You know, it's like not like that. Come on now. And she's like, well, I have a name, and they're both like just stunned at her, at her saying that her real name is May.
Right.
And
it does kind of, it's a twist, and we'll talk more later about how I don't really like it, but that, like, she doesn't just say simple words. She can speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's articulate in her words. There is no, like, hey, all of a sudden this human learned to talk because they were in danger. It's like, no, she's a talker, and this is probably why she's being chased.
Right. And so basically, yeah, she's like, and there was, okay, so let's get to the thing that's kind of a fan theory, because before they see the zebra and before the army attacked, one of the things that indicated to both of them that she was something more than the typical Echo was that they were at a observatory, and both her and Noah looked through the big giant telescope, and he mentioned to Raka that she reacted like an ape would to what they were seeing. Now, this whole scene here has got like a fan theory about how what they were looking at and what they saw that caused them to react was the return of the Icarus, and I fucking hate that. That's not what they're looking at.
No.
She's looking. If there's anything she's looking for, it's a satellite, as we will find out by the end of the movie. But what I think Noah's looking at is an expansion of knowledge.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what he's like, oh my God, there's more to the sky than what we see.
Right. There's no one focal point. It's a total expansion of his entire consciousness.
Yeah. He has exploded now into the level of intelligence that Caesar had.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. I also think they hid for what they were seeing on purpose in case they wanted to use it later.
Yeah,
sure, but if there was anything that she saw, it was the satellite or something that would have been similar to the satellite.
I mean, they could make it anything. I think your assessment is probably okay, and I think we're supposed to not know.
I just think
it is also a movie contrivance.
Yes,
sure.
Yes.
I just think it's just Noah realizing there is more to.
Sure. Yeah, I get your point. I get that part. I'm just saying we don't know.
It's definitely a we can make this whatever the fuck we want to make it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like your read of it.
My read of it is primarily because of what he does at the end of the movie. Because there wouldn't have been he's not going to see the same thing if he was looking at a focal point thing. He's expanding the consciousness of his wife, basically, or his soon-to-be wife.
He's sharing knowledge, is what he's doing.
Exactly.
It could be anything that he's sharing knowledge. But yes, you're right. If it's a moving focal point, like it ain't going to be there. It's not going to be there. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, he's essentially now acting as Prometheus.
Yes.
So this is maybe when there's talk of evolution here in a little bit.
Is this going to be the new Alien franchise? It will be the new Apes franchise, Prometheus.
Oh God, no!
Was there a space jockey on that?
Prometheus.
Was there a space jockey on that?
I mean, it kind of looked like the space jockey, didn't it? Yeah, it was the first thing I thought of, if I'm being honest, was a space jockey. Yeah,
it did look alien, not like a human. Yes, I agree.
But
it should look alien to him. That's what's cool about it. Yeah.
And then everything with that overgrowth looks alien to us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but no, he's, what he's sharing and why I kind of refer to him as Prometheus is that this is the evolutionary jump that another ape is looking for, that he's cheating to get to, but outside of the tool that was present, Noah has achieved that evolution.
I don't know that he's cheating because
he's trying to he's using someone else's knowledge of the thing, of what to expect to find.
Fair.
Are you talking about Proximus?
But knowledge is knowledge, right? And learning is learning, and there's technology there.
But that
will be the same, in many ways, the same evolutionary leap intelligently as what Noah has experienced.
Well,
and what Caesar experienced when he got given the agent.
Sure.
Like when he got exposed to the
It's a little bit more micro and macro, though, right? I mean, we're talking about like engineering versus like astronomy, but it's similar, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
It's almost like metaphysical and mechanical.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at more than anything is like you have somebody who is learning. He's learning something. His consciousness is expanding, while the other is wanting the evolution to restrict things, to destroy and to then basically compact.
Well, there's no imagination in one.
Right, because we saw Noah does have an imagination. He does have an analytical and engineering mind because he fixes that weapon that he's never seen before.
Right, exactly.
So he does have a different understanding of things than Proximus. It's like hammer and nail versus whatever you call Noah, his understanding of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in a way, I guess you could say that. Jeff. It's an understanding rather than a
skipping to the end. It's understanding the steps on
there's
how
a lot of things that I use as tools that I don't fully understand. Right.
But I wouldn't begrudge anyone in the future from finding a drill and taking it apart to learn how it was made.
Oh yeah,
and then using that knowledge to build other things, which I think is more where Proximus was land. Maybe he wouldn't take the shit apart.
No, he's not taking
don't know
those things apart. He's trying to take apart other clans. Like I think he wants conquest. I don't think he wants
that. Sure. I agree with that, but I also think he may want to know how to reproduce the things that he found. So he has more of them.
Yeah. I just think that maybe cheating wasn't the right word. I think his end goal is he wants something not to make
he's going to be destructive.
Better. He's going to be destructive
with what he finds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that point is well made. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's more about his intent rather than his quest for knowledge.
And what Noah learns piece by piece throughout his journey is there's a history you don't know. There's more than just the physical things you see. Because
he wants to understand the symbols.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Proximus has someone read him the books. Right? Like that's their difference in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like at the smallest level.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much there now where there is a scene where because so May
we got to talk about the bridge. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
that's exactly where we're headed here. So May basically explains that she's trying to find more people like her, and that there is there's something specific that she's looking for that will help reconnect her with people like her, which Noah and Rocker are like, wow, there's more people like you. Okay, cool, we'll help. He's doing a thing, and you got to do a thing. We'll do a thing.
Yeah.
And they eventually get to a part where there's a bridge across a rapids. And they are about halfway across the bridge. You begin to realize there are chimps underneath the bridge. Kind of a callback to Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
100%.
And but General Silva is waiting for him on the other end. And Noah's like, oh, we got to turn back. And they turn around. Nope, there's more coming behind them, and they're essentially trapped. There's a fight, and Raka ends up being swept away by the.
He saves May.
He saves May, and then he gets
Silva
swept away.
Cuts the rope like he did to Noah earlier, which presumably kills Raka. We never see. I'll just say we never see him again in this movie.
We don't see him again in this movie. Maybe we'll see him in another movie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either, because I think everybody likes Raka.
Over the microscope or over the telescope.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he's like, "Hey, check this out. That's my buddy up there," and he's like waving back at the.
No, this is it's a fairly impactful death, like, because you like Raka and you want him to be around, and he's if you equate Noah to Caesar, which I think is impossible not to.
Yeah.
Right. In some sense, to think Noah is the ape that will lead them into the.
He is the true succession.
Yeah. Yes. Like, I feel like there's lineage there, or like a lesser movie would make there be lineage there for sure.
Right. I mean, I don't think that's necessary at all, because he is the one who should be the one taking up the mantle.
But Raka would be Maurice to Caesar.
Absolutely. I mean, and a reason why I say this is just a kind of a more classic hero's journey is, this is the
Gandalf.
death of. Well, it's the death of like Gandalf or Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's the sage mentor that has shaped certain ideas in the head of our hero.
Yeah, sure.
And he's lost now, and he's already lost
to use those ideas.
He's already lost family, and now he's lost his mentor, and it's where do you go from here? So they get captured, and they are brought to this coastline where there's all these, rotted out, rusted ships that have run aground. There are apes everywhere, and his stolen tribe is there. And this is where we meet Proximus Caesar,
Proximus,
who thinks he is all powerful and that he's also all giving, that he's given these people wonderful days because they follow him. But as Noah will tell him to his face, you basically just steal tribes. You have nothing. You're the king. You're the king of nothing, basically, is what he's saying in that moment. But he does get reunited with his mother and his girlfriend. So he knows they're there. Now, he doesn't see Anaya for a little bit. But Proximus wants Noah and May to come to dine with him. But before that, May has discovered that Proximus is working with a human. And that's when we get William H. Macy coming out looking all haggard and barely can walk. And he explains that Proximus found him after he had fallen off a cliff or something, I think is what he says, isn't it?
Yeah, he said he almost made it to the coast and then he busted his ankle falling from somewhere. And now he's just a drunk who reads books to Proximus.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, he's and he gives Proximus the knowledge he seeks without Proximus. This is why I say he's kind of cheating a little bit, because he doesn't do any of the work to get he's being told the history. He's being told that, and as William H. Macy says, is like he really only seems to care about Rome.
Many leaders are fed grapes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yes. I mean, this is intelligent people have propped up, charismatic morons for the entirety of history.
I have no idea what that could even possibly mean, Jason.
That's why you guys put me on this podcast, right?
To prop us up? Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
But yes, William H. Macy basically tells her, because I can't remember his name in this, doesn't really matter. You're going to fall in line. You need to fall. Trevathan. Yeah. You need to fall in line if you know what's good for you. And even though they're in captivity, the chimpanzees are more loosely held.
Yes.
Than they were in the earlier.
It's almost like
films.
indentured servitude as opposed to the slavery that Woody Harrelson had him.
Yes. Proximus
there's an acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they all basically because his mother even tells us, we belong to Caesar now.
Right.
And he's like, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just accept it.
Yeah. But Noah has been,
he's got different knowledge. He has different
he has a brand new perspective on everything.
Yep, 100%.
And he tells Suna the elders were hiding stuff from us, whether because they wanted to or they didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leaves open the question of whether they did understand the history and they sequestered themselves to start anew, kind of like in The Village.
Oh yeah, God, I hate that movie.
Yeah, but it's at least a similar
right. It's a similar idea. Yeah. I mean, and in some ways you could almost say it's like, did these people not believe in Caesar? Did the people who initially broke off to find their own place to live, to do different things, just not in a negative sort of way, but did they, once they found a new settlement, did the people who start that say, fuck that guy, it's us now, it's our ways, and it's the same thing that happens. That's why there's countries, right?
This is part of what I was thinking about in the movie that I like, but also frustrates me, right? Just like, man, I mean, there's just too much mythology to pack into a 2-hour and 20-minute movie.
Right.
I think you get the opportunity to go backwards a little bit in the future.
I assume so. But the elders had to know what humans are, and they called them echoes instead.
Right.
Yes.
right? Like there is
And
a little
even-
bit of hiding of knowledge in that.
And,
in that time.
and even calling them echoes could be they're an echo of the past that we just don't talk about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or we fear them. They're like ghosts. They're to be feared or whatever. You know.
Trouble always comes with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
It is in line with the Proximus, like never trust a human,
Yeah.
even though he has humans in his servitude, which is kind of funny.
But he would never take their word over. I mean, or he wouldn't put his full. Well, interesting though. He kind of does, right?
Yes, because if he's being read to by Trevathan, he could be saying anything.
He chastises Noah at the end of this movie for essentially what he's been doing himself for as long as he's had William H. Macy, right?
Yeah.
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 So,
Even to a larger degree without skepticism towards what Trevathan tells him.
Right.
Like at least Noah is skeptical.
Like
of what
Trevathan
he's hearing.
has probably given him enough stuff that panned out to where he believes him. And then Trevathan is such a worm. I mean, he's the Uncle Tom of this movie, right? I mean, he kind of is. I hate to say it.
well,
but
I mean,
that's
these
the
are.
role. That's the role.
I mean, I think
that's
it's
the archetype.
probably more accurate. He's Uncle Bill.
Oh yeah, yeah, Uncle Bill, Uncle Bill Macy. But yeah. It is a bit of a character flaw in our Caesar because he thinks that he knows how much to trust the human.
Well, and he's blinded by his own power, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, he would fall in the line.
But that's not ultimately what bites him. Like, there's no irony there, which is kind of annoying. Like, it would be cool if William H. Macy were kind of like trying to be subversive, but he's not.
He's not at all. But I mean, the downfall of Proximus is good for Noah because he rallies everyone to him.
Well, yeah. I mean, ape conquers ape.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of good and it's kind of bad when you really think about it.
And he underestimates those around him. He underestimates Noah. He underestimates May to a degree.
Yeah. Well, I guess we jumped.
Well, he also underestimates, again, going back to what we were saying about how they were loosely held, right?
Yeah.
He that's a mistake too. If he was really as powerful, he would hold them under the whip as opposed to letting them roam almost freely around.
Well, the truth is ultimately what was his downfall, right? For someone who is so hell bent on learning from the humans and the history and the Romans and everything. With the Romans, they had all the technology and all the truth in the world, and it still didn't keep them from falling, right? So, but
Rome still burnt at the end of the day.
But there was a higher truth that Proximus didn't understand that was more powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very I won't say naive, but it's a very nice thing to want to believe in, that a higher truth will conquer eventually.
That a better truth.
Not a better truth, but the truth, like the ultimate truth.
Yeah. The ultimate truth.
Yeah, whatever that may be, but
I mean, it's whatever I read on Facebook. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what you guys.
I'm sorry, I'm a little rambly there, but
no. That's, I mean, well, so basically, there's a giant door that Proximus for months has been trying to get into.
Yeah,
because he says what's inside not only A belongs to him, but B is what he wants, is the evolution of what he is seeking. To basically become as powerful and as knowledgeable and as strong as the humans were. Not even thinking about the fact that there ain't humans around anymore. So it's like it's what
it's the same fascination with Rome, right? Like
exactly.
he's chasing things that collapsed in on themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Also, like, where does William H. Macy fall into this? Like, does he what does he know about what's in there? It's never fully articulated.
I think he assumes what's in there because of what that place is.
Yeah.
I think. And he is, I mean, he's not incorrect if he says there's weapons in there.
May does, very shortly after this, like, confront him about helping him get in there. Don't you know what's in there?
Yeah.
We cannot let him have that. And he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
basically.
hey, basically, he's being fed and kept warm and dry,
he's
and
himself to power.
yeah,
It's not unlike the apes in the last movie, right?
yep,
Yes, the ones that ran away, like left Caesar. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
yeah. Koba's old
Koba's clan, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. And she's like, it's like I think she then eventually tells Noah, it's like, we need to get in there before he does. And because I think what I'm looking for is in there and we have to destroy what's in there.
But he's like so far away from getting into that thing because he's trying to like use horses and ropes to pull that. I mean,
chains that slash the apes that are on the ground outside.
That leads me
it'll
to
be another 100 years before he fucking figures out how to get into that thing.
It leads me to believe that Trevathan is kind of feeding him some amount of lies, but I don't know if we should give him that much credit.
I know.
We don't know.
Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but I would say his hitching himself to power to the point where he doesn't really even care when May's like, we can't let him in there.
There's something to be said here for that, though, because you hit yourself to power as long as it's relevant and it needs you. Once that door is open, Trevathan might not be needed anymore.
Exactly.
That's fair. Yeah, because probably the first thing that Proximus is going to do is get on horses and march, or get in those tanks and march
on whatever humans he can find.
The other
whatever
thing,
and Trevathan can barely walk, so fuck him. He's
the other
a
thing
hindrance.
too is that Trevathan, for as smart as he seems to be, he doesn't fucking know everything. Right. He doesn't know how to operate a tank.
Well, that'd be like finding me and saying you're a human, you're smart, you know how to read.
Right. So once it's over his head, and he doesn't know how to do these things, and his sort of his jig is up, if you will. Yeah. It's beyond his expertise. Then he's useless.
Yeah.
But
he
can maybe still read the manuals. But
is the tank manual on the seat?
Yeah, it's in the glove box. Yeah.
But it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting point, Chuck. I think there's something to it. I wish that would have been maybe articulated, though. You know?
Well, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, I think we had to get to the point where it's like he's just a worm. He's always going to be out for himself.
It's a
whatever.
little one-dimensional. The character is,
which is. Yeah. I'm okay.
He's only
with that.
in like 3 or 4 scenes.
Well, yeah,
barely
because
in the movie at all.
So we're now at like a really, really key part, because Trevathan, while Trevathan has told May that she needed to be at a meeting, that it would have been very important for her to be there at this thing that Caesar's got, and she's like, nope. And she went out to talk to Noah and to basically explain to him, this is what we got to do, and we got to do it now, because we got to get in there first, and we got to destroy what's in there. And I think what I'm looking for, which she doesn't really say, but she knows that what she's looking for is inside there too.
It's like a book. It will connect people again, basically.
Yes. And, but she doesn't fully explain what it's connecting, which,
no, she gives him the level of the answer that she thinks he'll understand
to get him to help him. Yes.
And accept. But he has questions for her.
Yes.
Right. Which are, one is the most important one, because I can't remember all the ones he asks her, but the most important one is like, what was the relationship between humans and chimps or apes? Did they live together? And she gives him the truth. The actual truth about it. Like, no, like, apes were silent. Apes were in servitude or in cages or whatever, however she responds to it. And then he agrees to help her. I don't know if you know what the other questions are. Oh, and his other question was obviously important. Whatever's in there, will water destroy it?
Yes,
Right.
That's the big one.
Right.
Because the idea is we're going to blow the dam.
We're going to flood the thing once you open it.
Yes. Which really shows really how smart he is.
Right.
Because he realizes there's a dam there that could bust and bring all the water in.
And it's really probably the salt water that, like the fact that it's salt water is what's really going to do the damage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because he can see what it's done to the ships outside. So he's put all of that together. That's pretty intelligent. So, and he's also gotten Suna and Anaya had been kind of like the butler or the
he was serving food or serving stuff at the dinner.
Yeah, and but he's like, at first he's like, I'm too scared to help you, and Noah's like, okay, fine. But then he shows up and he's like, hey, I'm here. I'm here to help.
You can't make the big climb without me.
You can't make the big climb without me, and because that's part of the big plan is they got to climb up the side of this cliff to get into the base that's built into it.
They're getting beat up. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead, but they're getting beat up by the waves, and I think Anaya's like, I thought you said we were going to climb.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah, but Trevathan comes out and basically is like, you really screwed up, girly. It's like you could have had all of this. You could have had comfort. You could have had, all of this stuff. You should have been there. And she gets to the point in this conversation where he's, because she's, again, it's like, you do understand. She gives him the
opportunity to come with us.
Yeah, it's like, because you do understand what's going to happen if he gets in there. And he's like, I don't really care. And so Noah, Suna, and Anaya get a pretty up close and personal idea of how humans treated each other, not just how they treated apes. And
of what May is capable of.
And what May is capable of, because she chokes him out. And they're taken aback enough to be like, well, keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
But we still have to do all of this, because without any of this, we can't save the tribe.
Right. This what is in there and what we need to destroy is more important than being weary of this woman at this moment.
Yeah. We got more time later to be weary of her.
Right.
Right now, we're both serving each other's needs.
Yes. And Noah is still a little naive. Even through the rest of this movie, he's a little naive.
Certainly, he becomes less naive by the time they do open the doors.
Well, debatable. But we can talk about that.
Well, he certainly takes another leap toward, we need to be mindful of what's going on.
He's being skeptical of things. Yes,
yeah.
I agree with that. And they do climb the side of the mountain. There's the mandatory, we almost fell off the thing.
Rocks falling off, could be hitting the people.
My face. And then he says shit because he heard her say it earlier, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
They get in there. She finds what is like the motherboard probably of a system. So
it's like a coordinates thing for a satellite.
Maybe it is a coordinate. Yeah. I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it is.
Yeah, because like when you plug it in, it like has like the coordinate numbers or something that would like configure a satellite.
Leading us to believe she's not after a book. She's after something that will control a satellite.
Which is about 1 billion times more dangerous.
She doesn't really lie.
No, she doesn't.
She at
least understands
the audience what it is.
She dumbs down the truth to a level that he will accept.
But it will help us. It will help us. Essentially, it breaks down to language and help us communicate. Right?
Yes,
which is exactly what I mean. It's very clear that she saw Raka talking about books.
The way that she, yes, you're right about that, and the way that she tells it makes it seem like it's going to break the barrier of the silent, not what it's really doing. Right? Like it will help get our voices back. Not exactly that,
not literally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But their level of communication is far more dangerous than the apes' level of communication.
Yeah, but she's still maintaining that the people that she was with and anyone that was like her is dead.
Right.
Which
She's
we
not
find
telling
out
the
is
truth.
not fucking true.
No, she's not telling.
Well, no, because not only is that not true, but earlier at the dinner, Caesar revealed that to Noah, that she was not alone. She was left behind.
That's part of his questions that he was
Yes.
asking. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that, because he's like, humans, if they get back, we have to destroy them before they destroy us, is basically Caesar's deal,
Right.
his plan.
But if you haven't pieced it together by now, what's in there are weapons and tanks and machinery. Basically, what, as Jeff has said, Optimus wants is the weapons so he can go be oppressive and destructive across the world and basically expand what he calls his kingdom.
I like that you called him Optimus, but there were no Transformers in there.
Oh, God damn it.
Proximus.
Proximus, which means nearest or closest to.
Yeah, he's approximately a Caesar right now.
Yeah. Or
he
thinks
seems to
is.
think he's, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
But
So-
go ahead.
No, so basically it's like they've set up a bunch of charges because that's something else. That was when Trevathan came out, is when she was setting up the charges to blow the dam. As part of the plan once they got because they were going to open the doors from the inside. Because I do think Trevathan does say that he's been working on the doors for months. And I do think that there is an indication that it's highly unlikely they will open the doors unless they were inside already.
Yeah, I mean, he was never going to get those doors open.
Right.
The way he was
not the way that he was trying. Right. Like if somebody says, here's a whole bunch of explosives, maybe you have a shot at blowing a hole in it or something,
Yes,
but,
because what is revealed is that half of the world's government, or half of the U.S.'s government, went in there
yeah.
to live.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at some point they must have left because there's nobody in there. But that maybe explains some things later that I have questions about. But anyways, they do get the doors open from the inside.
But who's waiting for him on the outside?
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime is there, and he's like, I'm going to get you.
He's like, Autobots roll out.
And the tanks all transform, and then that's a whole different movie at that point.
You got the touch. You got the power.
It's really just Mark Wahlberg out there singing that when they open the doors.
With a prosthetic wang just flapping in the breeze.
Yep. And John C. Reilly helping him out.
Feeding them lines.
It's Proximus is out there and he's like, you moron, Noah. She's been taking advantage of you the whole time. But one of the guards, one of the bonobos, takes Suna. That's Suna, right? Mm-hmm. And May saves her because he's got a knife up, and Proximus is like, choose her or the human. And May's like, no, I'm just going to shoot your bonobo. And he's like,
By the way, I got a gun hiding behind my back.
yes.
She's good at that.
It's a good shot.
Yes, and she's also a good shot. But Proximus is like, you can leave. You can go. Hiding behind everybody because he's got a gun. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yes, I mean, the emperor has no clothes, really. Right. I mean, he's got numbers, but he doesn't really have the power that he needed. And but May runs out and trips the explosive, and in comes the water, which, I mean, she gets out. I mean, she's, before the water comes, she is safe from the water. And like, at this point, Noah has to believe, it's like, damn, she just killed my whole tribe. Or, that could have been a side effect of her action here.
Right. Because she's like, I'm sorry, I can't let him get out with this stuff. But Noah's quick and tells whatever part of his tribe is in there, like, climb.
Yeah.
You have to climb. We have to get above water, basically. And they do. There are some, so Proximus seemingly gets swept away by the water, along with much of his army. But there is a gorilla that's chasing.
Silva
is chasing Noah.
Yep.
And
And Noah eventually kicks him over to where he gets trapped under the catwalk and the water comes up. And Noah looks like, Noah does not look like he's perfectly fine with what just happened.
He's considering ape not kill ape.
Yes.
Like he's considering it in that moment. And he even like appears to take a step forward. Like he might try to save him, but then he's like, I can't.
No, he's got to save his own.
Him.
Yeah, I can't save him, and I have to save my own people. And this is a little bit. This is Caesar and Koba again.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Lawbreaker.
Yeah,
but Lawbreaker with an asterisk next to it, though, right? Like this guy lives, we all might die.
Yep. But
eventually,
but this guy lives. Maybe we all don't die. Because
maybe he's thankful.
There's a human threat out there that we don't fully understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you, but the other question then has to be asked is like, well, what's after our tenuous relationship defeating the humans? It's like that might be, it's like there's the problem is still present potentially.
Well, Noah, like in an effort to save himself, may have created the actual dangerous enemy, right? Like Proximus is just. There's a gray area in his evilness, like I said earlier. Like, he's not fully evil. He's just, he's a bit much. He's a bit too far.
He's operating on some information that may or may not be correct, but being a human, I know how shitty we can be. So, and, there are books with apes in bars.
Yeah,
right. I mean, yeah, and they had seen Noah had seen them.
It's dangerous, but yeah, is he unhinged? That's the thing. Like, can you be a more benevolent leader and still have that distrust? And I think that's the balance that the character of Noah strikes in this. He doesn't trust the humans.
No.
Even at that last scene, he's like, I don't trust the shit out of you.
Well, it's a little bit of what Caesar gets to at the end of Rise, right? Which is, I can learn to trust you if you give me the reason or the ability
reasons to.
Yes.
But otherwise, we're rebuilding stronger, and you can just fuck off.
Yeah, go halfway around the world to your little bunker.
Yeah, Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But we haven't gotten to the
King
really
Kong ending.
Yeah,
right.
so
Right, sorry.
One of the things that happened earlier when Caesar Noah is like he's been he's been imprisoned by Proximus. He's kind of hanging out. The bird flies in and lands near him. And it lands on his arm.
He finally calls it to him. Yeah.
And this is important because it's almost like it is waiting for him to come to the realization that while Caesar has them and that's the law is wrong. And when his moment of like, yeah, we're going to have a revolution here, the eagle's like, I'm with you, buddy. America.
It's like seeing the resoluteness and the understanding and the conviction that Noah never really had.
Yeah. Like Noah has become an adult at this point.
Yeah, because even before the bonding, he was willing to give up his bonding to his friends, which is admirable, but it's not what the strong leader would do.
No.
Right.
Right? Like I guess. I don't know.
A strong leader.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, he gets up into the little place where they climbed up to earlier to get inside. And like, oh wow, all my family and everybody's good and happy. Oh crap, this Proximus fucker's here.
Yep.
And he starts tossing Noah around. And he's like, you know what? I want to see you bend to your king, like all the rest of your tribe. And Noah starts singing to the birds, and they all come.
Yeah,
all the birds are like, "Yeah, we want in on this."
Yeah, we've been hanging around. Eagle Son, let us know where you're at, and we're gonna fucking King Kong this motherfucker off the ledge here.
Yes. yeah, because like basically he gets the entire tribe on his side again by basically realizing it's like, oh, birds, he's singing, we can sing too, and here they come. And yeah, they start. Now, the other thing is, yeah, Proximus gets knocked off the thing there into the ocean. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's dead.
Oh,
But-
yeah, I mean, I guess.
But at least it's eagle killed ape, not ape killed ape.
That's true too.
Right. Ape together, bird.
Ape together,
together,
throwing
bird.
birds at you. Eat my bird. So yeah,
But the-
so go ahead.
I was just going to say Noah gets the tribe home. They're obviously rebuilding.
And
then-
seemingly he's going to be the leader.
Yes. Yes. And he's, I don't know, he takes Suma.
Yeah, he takes
After
Suna.
May shows up?
So
or
no,
before?
so both of them are. No, this is after because Suna arrives at the camp and May arrives at the camp and Suna I think is the one who's like, hey, your other lady
There's your
friend
girl.
is here, yeah. And he walks over and he's like, so it's like, well, so what now? Basically, and he's and that's when he's basically saying it's like, can we live together? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but we're going to rebuild. You have your thing, and today is a win, and we'll deal with tomorrow. And that's when we find out that she came armed. She has that gun behind her back again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been pretty ballsy with the six shooter.
Well, see, you kind of wonder. You kind of wonder in that moment: is she debating whether she's going to kill the leader of the apes, or is she thinking, I might need to protect myself because they fear us?
Right. I think
It could be. It's ambiguous, but she was ready one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
But yes, I think it's a little bit of both. Absolutely.
If I get a bad vibe here, then I may need to kill him, get on this horse, and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's like, why go, but it's almost like why go at all? So it seems a little bit like an assassination, but
maybe a size up to see what, because like she has to bring this information to the people that she's going to too. This is what we are potentially dealing with.
Yeah,
This is where the relationship was left. This is so. I think she is gathering information.
It's a little bit of Lawrence. It's I need a picture of the situation.
Yes,
yeah,
100%. But it is very ambiguous what her overall intention is.
And certainly those Eagles went back to Chicago and wrote a hell of a story about their new hero.
Yes.
Noah is the hero that the American people needed. But
the American ape needed.
The American ape needed, yes, the ape people. But yeah, so she rides out towards her people while Noah says, hey, Suna, I got something to show you. And he rides to the telescope and basically presents her with the knowledge that he gained and the expansion of her horizons. And May ends up at this bunker where a lady apparently was waiting a long time looking at the little peephole because she instantly opens the door.
Deachin Lockman, yeah. It's like if there's any indication that we're fucking making another one of these, it's having a really familiar face at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
And so basically she's like, hey, here's the thing, and they plug it in and they readjust their large radio antenna array, and they contact Fort Wayne, Indiana.
That cracked me up.
The most exciting place on the planet to contact.
Yeah.
We're just out here playing basketball.
Yeah, hey
That's
man,
all.
Larry,
They could have contacted French Lick, I guess.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I was just thinking of like, I was just thinking of like, basketball Indiana
The
in
Fort
general.
Wayne Mad Ants, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But no, so basically so she has reconnected humans similarly to how Noah has given his clan hope and a leader, basically. A leader that is maybe more intelligent and certainly has wider horizons than their old leader had.
So this is my major grievance with the movie. Why are there so many people and humans that can talk fluently?
Yeah.
Has that developed over time? Did they never get the
I have a theory.
the flu?
Well,
I have a theory on it.
there is one. I'll hear the theory first, but there is one heavy clue right at the beginning of this scene.
Here's my theory: is that all those people in there, they've been bunkered. They have not breathed the toxic air, right?
And why is that?
What do you mean? Why is that? Because
why haven't they?
Because Deachin comes out there with the suit on.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're not infected, and they've been kept behind. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have been. They're still susceptible to the virus, but they have been able to thus far stave it off, which makes them weak because they're stuck in the bunker. But what I don't understand is May and how they've found these people, because clearly there are humans who are impervious to it all, unless she's a sacrifice. Unless it's like, we need somebody to go to this station and you have so much time before you be infected, but then they wouldn't bring her in, so I don't know.
I think that there are still some people who are, because we never really fully understand what it is that causes, like 200 years into the future, it's also possible that maybe the immunity has also mutated in some people. Maybe not all people, but in some people.
I think it's possible that there are some people who are immune to all of it. But
that would be such a small percentage that most people are still going around.
I think it's dangerous to bring May inside, though, because she.
Well, we didn't see the one thing we didn't see, because there was a little bit of a time jump, is we do see somebody in like the decontamination shower.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's possible that she went through that before, but if
she's a carrier.
Yeah, she would be breathing it out. It wouldn't matter if she got decontaminated.
That's a piece I don't quite get, right? Because you would never bring somebody infected into your community.
Well, I still think that there is still I think there's still answers there that they're like, well, we're already 140 minutes in. We can't explain this right now. So
it could also just be like a matter of how it's communicable, right? Because like in The Last of Us, for instance, Ellie is immune to the cordyceps, but she's not like an active spreader.
She can't give it to people.
She can't give it to people. Yeah.
Right.
So it could be something like that. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I as soon as I started talking about the government going into that bunker, it made me realize that that's probably the reason.
But they've been in there. They've been in there for 200 years, 300 years. Whatever.
Yeah, they've been reproducing.
It's fucking Silo. I mentioned it last week. It's Silo. Like they're living this post-apocalyptic world in this bunker. It's Fallout. Yeah.
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 But I mean, I'm sure we will get more. They're not just gonna.
I think it's interesting. I think if it's the first of a trilogy, it does its job.
It sets up
setting up more questions that beg answers that will be fun to learn about and discover.
It did what the original Star Wars did for that trilogy. It is self-contained, but it also sets up stuff that can be seen later.
But just like the first Apes trilogy, well, not the first, but the one we just discussed, I think it's probably on par for me with Rise, just because of that, because it feels like a setup for more things to come. It doesn't.
And any sequel could potentially enhance this one.
Sure.
But I mean, I still stick with. I had a good time seeing it in the theaters. I think it looks beautiful.
It's beautiful. It really
because that was one I definitely did Dolby on.
Dolby's.
The Dolbys. It is. I think Noah is an interesting character. I hope Raka is not dead.
Yeah.
I think May has some interest that can be played with in the future installments. Proximus, I think, is a good mix of Gary Oldman and Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that I think, you know what? The apes are still alive.
Yes, they are.
Apes together strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'd hang out with Raka. And obviously he would like us because we're people and he's interested in people.
Yeah. Rocka's a good dude.
I'd hang out with him.
He's a good
But Noah would be like, he didn't have to share camp with them.
Oh, they do smell, yes.
I would read his books to him. It's like, hey, man, this is what's in here.
Yeah.
You know? So
I did see a Kurt Vonnegut book in the movie. Just
I couldn't catch which one it was.
No,
it
but
was
even
Trevathan is reading
Vonnegut.
it. Yeah, because he would
Welcome
like
to the Monkey House would make the most sense, but
that's probably what it was.
Tell.
But
I couldn't tell.
Trevathan is reading himself Vonnegut because Proximus is only interested in nonfiction.
Yeah.
Particularly Roman history. So, guys, I think MAYpes
We did it.
is. I think we did a good job here. I think it's. I think they're, and it's good movies. I mean, good movies. I'll watch them again. So next month we also have a little bit of a kind of a theme, maybe a little bit more of a somber one. But next month we are tributing a couple of heavy hitters that passed away earlier this year.
Yes.
We've got a couple of movies starring Gene Hackman, and we got a couple of movies directed by David Lynch.
Indeed.
But we're going to kick things off talking first about Mr. Hackman. And you know what? We should go straight to Loose Cannons. Wait, no. That's not what I have written down here.
I was going to say Blue
There's
Chips,
no way
but
out of
that's
this
Nick
now.
Nolte.
Yeah, that's Nick Nolte, yeah. I'm sorry. It's Loose Cannons. I'm sorry. I've said it. It's now in the record. He wears a Redskins jacket throughout the whole
Are you saying
entirety
we've
of that
got the
movie.
prime cut of choices here? Sorry, I don't know if you guys see what I'm doing, but
No, I assume you're doing a Gene Hackman thing, but I'm
Yeah. No, we're going to talk about Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. I think a movie that basically, more or less, kind of created the modern anti-hero.
oh, interesting. I can't honestly tell you the last time I saw this, so I'm super stoked to watch it.
It's a very good movie. Very, very good movie.
I'll be the judge of that.
We get to mention my favorite piece of trivia ever next week as well.
Oh,
Okay,
man, you are getting very good at these teases.
Yeah, with
That
Kazali.
is it.
We've mentioned the Kazali trivia twice now. Once Jeff mentioned it, I mentioned it once before that. It's very interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Jeff,
All right. Yep,
you
I
both
do.
know what it is.
Anyway, so French Connection, that is June 4th, right here at filmseizure.com. That's where you can follow us on the various social medias, where you can listen to us and subscribe to the podcast site of your choice.
Yes.
Also at filmseizure.com. I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to talk about what's coming up on Monster Mondays. What the fuck? This this upcoming month, June, is going to be all of the last Gamera movies that I have not yet covered. To the exception of the one that is a clip show. I reference that later in the month, but But we're going to start with Gamera versus Zigra. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Fun little turtle movie.
Yeah.
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 Jason, I do get into those funky ones that you
is
need
it
to check out from the 90s.
Todio? Is it as good as
The little Todio, yeah, his little buddy Todio.
Little Todio.
Little Todio, that does sound like a character name from a Gamera movie. Little Todio
Sounds like
follows
a
him around.
SoundCloud rapper too.
Yeah.
Little Todio.
Little Todio, yeah.
Oh my god.
So filmseizure.com this Monday, Gamera versus Zegro on Monster Mondays. Next Wednesday, The French Connection on the titular Film Seizure show. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I have a review of The Burning, kicking summer off right
Nice.
with some killer camp action.
Very cool.
Very good movie. Very, very good movie. Even if it has the stank of a Weinstein.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
The stink of the Weinstein. But what are you gonna do? So that's what happens. Anyway, guys, Apes Together Strong. I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I am Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Not Seizure. Proximus Caesar?
You've been listening
Seizure.
to Film Noah.
Yeah, that's it. You've been listening to that.
Way to stick the landing, gents.
We did it. We did it.